Hey guys, so I'm back today. I wanted to talk to you guys about my camouflage on my AR pistol. A lot of people don't see the purpose of camouflage. However, I think that it can add to an already tactical piece of equipment and make it just that much better. So the cool thing about paint is it's removable. And no matter what you do, no matter how you paint it, there's always a way to get it off as long as you don't go crazy. So I like to put a light layer on. It's going to take abuse anyway, and that's going to add to the camouflage, the natural camouflage of the weapon, breaking up that shape. So I picked colors white, tan, gray, brown, and I mixed them up in a manner which breaks up the general outline of the weapon system. As you can see, there's some scales, there's some splotching, there's some dotting, there's some striping. It's got everything. There are areas of the weapon that you can see have already worn off from just me handling it in the last day or so. And there's also areas of the weapon you can see that didn't get much paint to begin with. Now, one thing I'd just like to cover before I show you guys how I did it was what I covered. So I took my charging handle, my bolt carrying group out. I stuffed a couple cotton balls in where the charging handle will go so that no paint will get into the upper receiver. I taped off my optic, so I taped off the lenses as well as the rubber caps, as well as the adjustment markings on the optic. I went ahead and taped up my trigger housing area. So I didn't want any paint to get up inside of the receiver or on my trigger. I'm not a big fan of that gummy feel on the trigger. I know it wears off over time, but if I can avoid it, why not put a little masking tape on there? I did tape my rear aperture and my front side post, so that way they were black, and in the daytime they'd be solid and I wouldn't get any sheen. I taped my compensator as well as my gas block. Now, I have an adjustable gas block and I didn't want the screws to get built up with gunk or paint, so I went ahead and taped those off. I wasn't concerned about anywhere else on the weapon. I did remove my ergo rail covers. They're rubberized and I'm not a big fan of paint on rubber, so I went ahead and took those off. However, the rest of the entire pistol, not rifle, has been painted to include the buffer tube, and the magazine that I had in it while I was painting it also got painted. However, I just used PMAG most of the time, and I used a metal OK or Sure Feed, I don't remember which one it is, magazine I had laying around from a couple years back. So without talking about it too much more, let's go ahead and pop down to how I did it, and then we'll close it out at the end of the video. See you in a minute. So you guys can see, I left the rear, I stuffed a cotton ball inside where the charging handle should have been. I took the bolt carrier out because I don't want it to accidentally get in there and gum it up. Like I told you, I was going to tape off the trigger as well as all the areas that lead inside of the lower receiver. I taped off the muzzle device because I don't want anything getting inside the barrel. I didn't talk about this before, but I have an adjustable gas block, so I wanted to be able to not have paint in there, gum it all up. So what I did is I covered both the front hole and the rear hole, so that way I still had the ability to adjust that gas block if I need to. I covered that front sight post and that rear aperture. I also covered the adjustments right here on the sight, top and bottom, as well as the rubber selectors. So yeah. This is what it should look like right before you paint. If you want to do some cool patterns, you can dust off and block off other areas. However, I'm going to do it pretty simple today. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and set up the camera so that you guys can see what it looks like when I actually go. So I'm going to be using a combination of brown and white. I have a darker brown and a lighter brown. One's called Espresso, one's actually a Rust-Oleum camouflage, and one is Valspar white. Flat. It's slightly off-white, but I actually like it that way. So you guys will see what I'm going for here shortly, and we'll move from there. So I'll be honest with you, I got excited and I forgot to grab my mesh bag, so I'm back now that I grabbed my mesh bag, and I'll show you guys what I was doing. Hey guys, so it's been about 15 minutes. I let it go ahead and cure, if you will, or dry a little bit. I'm absolutely convinced that I can go ahead and put my hands on it now. So I'm going to start removing the tape and see what it looks like. I'm pretty happy with the way the exterior looks. Again, I wasn't going for a desert paint job. I was going for more of an urban slash I can use it in my backyard and it won't give away my my position distinctly or look super dumb at the range. Because I only taped up a couple things, cleanup is super easy, and I'm pretty happy with the way I taped it up, and it kept everything looking pretty sharp. I'll go ahead and throw that back on the O2 site. And don't forget this little piece of tape. I think I'm going to need a screwdriver to get it out of there in the rear. Looks like the optic did pretty well with the paint. I wasn't too concerned about the covers getting dirty or painted. One thing I was concerned about was it not matching the rest of the rifle, so I think I did an okay job there. So I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. And I think that in the future I might go with like an OD green because we're starting to go into those summer months, but we'll see. One thing I didn't cover before, I ended up throwing a little bit of tan on there just because right now here it's still a little bit tan. I know the grass looks very green right here, but it's been raining the past couple days, so that's really the only reason why. Cool thing about painting your rifle or your pistols is that you can do it again and again and again and again and again, and you don't have to worry about anything else. You can just knock it out over and over and over. So hey guys, that was how I painted the rifle. I don't want you to get too wrapped up in the fact that maybe it's not what you want. The cool thing about doing this is you can choose what you want to do. And you don't ever have to worry about what other people are doing as long as what you do works for you and it's cool to you, because tactical is the most important part. As long as you feel like it looks good and it blends into your general area and it accomplishes your general mission, I think you're getting what you want out of that camouflage, you're getting what you want out of that weapon and how it's set up. So I think that covers it all. And until next time guys, stay frosty and do all the cool things that you do. And just remember that without training, weapons are useless, so don't be afraid to go and ask people and ask friends at the range so that you can look cooler than you do already. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Cowabunga, dude.